Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has approved that the payment of the revised minimum wage of 70,000 naira for workers in both public and private sectors should commence with effect from July 29 this year, 2024. The approved date is the same day that President Tinubu assented to the act after it was forwarded to him by the National Assembly. Chairman of the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission says the approval follows a series of negotiations and a memorandum of understanding reached between the federal government and the trade union side of the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council.
The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's GCFR, has approved the revision of the Consolidated Public Service Salary Structure. That's known as COMS for those of us in the industry, with effect from the 29th of July 2024. I will repeat that, 29th of July 2024. Any agency in the Federal Public Service, whether it's self-funded or treasury-funded, that has not received any circular on this matter, specifically from this commission, should contact the commission for further directives. This is to avoid any uncoordinated implementation, which has the tendency to destroy the existing salary relativities in the Federal Public Service. As regards how this affects our pensioners, NYC members, interns, and the other subcategories that have been taken care of, we will be issuing relevant directives very, very soon. I'm aware of the fact that quite a number of states had made comments that they were waiting for the federal to conclude its own exercise before they begin to address whatever they need to address. Maybe I should use this opportunity to state that any state or body is free to approach this commission as a technical body for advisory services.
All right, we're now joined by RISE analyst Constance Ikokwu. Good morning.
Good morning,
I'm glad to have you join us. It's a little bit technical.
Yes.
All this stuff. Frankly, I cannot understand it. But
I know.
It again speaks to the fact, don't you think so, that it takes government is fast to act on whether it is removing subsidy or policies that affect Nigerians negatively. But when it comes to that has to do with Nigerians in terms of things like this minimum wage. This was since when they did negotiation and it's just coming into effect now. What's your sense?
Well, let's try to simplify it. So he was talking about the revised salary structure for civil servants to enable the implementation of the minimum wage. So how did we get here? Let's walk back a little bit. In July, the president signed the minimum wage bill into law. That followed weeks of intense negotiations with labor leaders in order to change the minimum wage. We remember that the Nigerian Labour Congress had to shut down the economy in order to force the hand of the government and get the president to listen to workers. At the end of the day, they were accused of sabotage and treason. They did listen to reason and called off the strike and returned to the negotiating table. At the end of the day, they were forced to swallow their pride, and disappointingly, for many workers in Nigeria, Labour accepted 70,000 naira from an initial demand of over 600,000 naira. Now, you might look at that and say it is a fair upward review from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. However, when viewed against the background of the economic environment and realities of today, some would consider it very little. But this is where we are. The country is underperforming economic-wise, and is an economic downturn. It is a potentially rich nation, but struggling with finances at the moment. So you can understand also with government that it's unable to do so much. But remember that also there was an incentive attached to that 70,000 naira. The government promised that every 3 years the salary structure will be reviewed, and also promised to assist states and subnationals to pay this minimum wage. That's where we are today.
Well, so many promises. 2 points. This decision to backdate the new minimum wage to July, I think earlier there was a promise to start implementation in May. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how does this speak to the trust between Nigerian workers, the labor union, and the government? And also talking about adequate impact with this new minimum wage, I think by the time that this was decided, petrol prices had not increased like up to 300% as we have it now. So how does this really work vis-a-vis what's going on in the country?
Well, you know, I already mentioned it in Kechi. It's a difficult situation, and even when you look at the announcements that were coming out yesterday from the National or Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, it says that employment rate has increased to 5.3%, although some would say in reality it's much more than that. And then look at what the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, also did yesterday by increasing interest rate to 27.25%. You can understand that this is going to have a chain reaction on the economy and by extension the people. There is already a flurry of reactions being generated here. For instance, the private sector. Let's look here who is talking. The Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise. These are people who bear the brunt of these economic policies. And in unison, they have said that this is detrimental to the investment and economic growth of the country. They specifically say that borrowing could increase to by 35% or more. And so this could, you see, more bad debt for banks and other financial institutions. They have won, but these interest rates continue to be increased. And the CBN governor, Mr. Yemisi Cardoso, continues to defend the government. And I want to read specifically what he said here. According to him, and I quote, "To attract investments into the economy, efforts must be sustained to achieve a positive real interest rate. This would enhance the economy's competitiveness for international capital, thereby improving the exchange rate." I mean, you know, he is probably, some would say, regurgitating or continuing to talk about standard textbook economic policies. Businesses totally disagree with him, but he is the government, so he's making these policies, and we will have to live with it for now. This has been happening for some months now. We don't know how much of that investment this has helped to improve the economy, but in Kechi, a lot of grumbling coming from the private sector.
Yeah, because you talk about where is the balancing, the question of unemployment, the question of high cost of living. So how do you focus on the outside and then leave the inside? Thank you so much, Dr. Constance.
You're welcome.